And the other thing was, I think I've become one of those neurotic, paranoid people that is so worried about being an addiction and figuring stuff out. And like you said yesterday, you don't do that. I'm going, what?
No. No, I'm not very neurotic.
No, I realise that.
Or intellectual.
Even though others might claim I am.
Yeah. Because, I think it's all that injury about wanting to be perfect and do it right. So I've heard you say you write lists about addictions and...
Well, one of the biggest problems that most people face is you're still trying to do everything intellectually rather than emotionally. And when you do that, you end up with these kind of problems, the kind of problems where you're getting worried about everything and what's going on. You can see the addiction, but nothing's really happening. You're trying to heal it, but nothing's going on with that either. And you end up in this space, if you like, where you're just really trying to do what anybody else who's heard any truth in the past would do, and what most people in religions do. And that is they hear some truth and then they become very concerned about having to follow it, and they use all of their might, and if I could say might in the sense of, all of their intellectual strength and all of their effort goes into trying to follow it, but they don't realise there's some kind of resistance in their soul to following it. And if you get rid of the resistance in your soul, then everything's easy. So if you're only focused on the resistance in your soul, that is far more powerful than focusing on everything else and doing everything else right.
So often, I think we've spoken about before when we talk about addictions, and I feel the most powerful way to deal with the addiction is to feel how much you want it. A lot of people go, oh, I've got that addiction, got to get out, got to stop it, okay, what's the causal, how am I going to get there, okay, have I got there, hey, do you think this is the causal, Mary, should I be feeling this? And my response is always, don't act on the addiction, but feel how much you want to, because that's the beginning of the emotional process.
So when you say feel how much you want it, and experience it, so go to God with the anger of I want this, not just feel it without the expression.
Yeah. In whatever way the emotion presents itself, let yourself feel that. Now, initially that might be anger, which is really about, I can't have this addiction and I want it. But under that, there's a lot of other, really needy feelings that lead to sort of sad feelings, that all those feelings that they're really present if you just let yourself feel your addiction.
Because I got confused about that, because one of the talks you did years ago about entitlement was to cry every time someone doesn't treat you the way you want to be treated. And then I thought, well, that's just crying about an addiction not being met.
It is.
Which you've got to go through that process.
Yes, you do. You have to see that you wanted the addiction met. Okay. And this is the result. Your crying is the result of you wanting it met so much that you're unwilling to look at its cause. But now we're getting in a discussion about emotion.
Yes, so
again, actually. Yeah. and I want to focus on faith because I feel this is one of our primary problems, is that many of you are so focused on emotion and still focusing all of your effort on emotion, and the main reason why is because you don't have any faith. And you don't have this, you haven't got this experience happening with God, and so you're having to go through and work through every single emotion by itself on its own, with no assistance from God, really, through the process. And of course you feel sometimes very confused about that, and you don't know what the truth is, and you don't know what an error is, and so forth. It becomes very plain if you do it with God, with faith.
A lot of us try to deal with the emotion so then we're good enough for God. And that's the opposite of faith and prayer, actually.
Yeah. In fact, myself and Mary were having a conversation maybe 3 months ago now, where Mary was saying, that she felt like she needed to do this and do that and do this and do that before she could pray for divine love. And I'm going, well, why do you feel like you have to do all of those things? She said, because the way she saw it was how I have to let go of all the untruth before I can, pray for divine love. And I'm going, well, no, I've never said that at all. The truth is a doorway to love, but I've never said you have to let go of all the untruth before you can receive any love. Because if that was the case, hardly any of us would. That's the natural love path, actually. That's exactly what you would do on the natural love path, right?
And actually, the most powerful thing that got me to that realisation was just to engage the great experiment intentionally every day. Before then, I was praying to God about heaps of things. Bring me truth, help me be humble, all those things. But I wasn't asking for love because I thought, I'm not good enough for that yet. I'm not going to get it. I'm going to have to, be a good girl and perform before I get it. Was that a hooray? And But
how many of you are thinking that you have to be good enough before you're going to get any love? Yeah, the majority of the audience, right?
Yeah.
That's not love then, is it? That's barter. That's what you've done with your parents, and that's what you've done with society, and maybe even your partner still. But that's not real love. Real love is somebody loving you without you having to work on it or without you having to have it. Does that make sense? So, yeah.
And the thing that really hit me with that emotion was and this is where exactly what Jesus is saying to you, the more you talk about this stuff, it doesn't really help. If you just do the experiment every day, it gets you a visceral experience, I feel totally unworthy of this love now that I'm actually asking for it. Yeah. And it's just so powerful to engage the experiment.
So this is where faith will challenge you see, and this is why probably what we want to do this morning is just revise some of the main